And we are live for Thursday night. And man, do we got a banger of a game tonight. It's going to be a fun one, guys. We got the New England Patriots going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this could be, and it's already shaping up to be, a pretty historic contest in terms of the context going into the game. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers coming off a pretty brutal loss to the Arizona Cardinals. They're 6-point favorites at home in this game, but I don't know if we are, if I can remember a time this season going into a game with such low expectations for scoring in a game, and the over-under is saying the same thing. I don't think we're going to have too many difficult start-sits tonight. We will, of course, get to all of those during this live stream. The Cardinals beat the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, 24-10. James Conner had a good game, 2 touchdowns, 25 carries, 105 yards. I do think that bodes pretty well for Ezekiel Elliott tonight. Before I dive into my Zeke take tonight, though, because I do think I'm going to tell a decent amount of people to start Ezekiel Elliott tonight. Tonight's over-under is 30 points. This is the lowest over-under in a game since 2004. It's 2023, guys. We're almost in 2024. It's almost been 20 years in the NFL since we have seen an over-under this low. And I actually think there's been some games that tied this over-under. We actually have some games this week, guys, that are close to this over-under. The Jaguars and Browns over-under is 31.5 in a game between Joe Flacco and likely the backup quarterback for the Jaguars as well. Some bad weather in that game, too. The Texans and Jets between C.J. Stroud and Zach Wilson. That game almost has an over-under this low. But, guys, 30-point over-under is by far the lowest over-under we've seen in the game this season. And I'm not going to lie. I think the over will hit. And actually, interestingly, source here from Sharp Football Analysis who dug this one up. But in the Super Bowl era, there's been 7 games with a total of 30 points or lower, and 6 of those 7 went over. This is a really, really low over-under for an NFL game. What up, Sam? What's going on, Kylo? What's going on, everybody? We are live for Thursday night, going to break down every single start sit you need. I'm going to talk about the game, my favorite props in the game as well. I'm pretty excited for the game tonight as a Pats fan, and I've been a conflicted Pats fan, as I think most are at this point. Do I want them to win? Do I want them to lose? I mean, I want them to lose, honestly. I do. I want them to get a good pick. I kind of want them to get Caleb Williams. Let me make sure subscriber-only commenting is off on the TikTok live. That should be all set now. Let me get back to this very first comment we had in the YouTube live from Dante, because I think there's going to be a lot of comments like this. We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. If you're watching live on YouTube, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button. But I do like Ezekiel Elliott tonight. This is an interesting one here from Joey, too. I'll get to this one, too. I like Jaylen Warren tonight. Really the only 3 players I think you should be considering starting. Really the only 2 players you should be considering starting. Ezekiel Elliott and Jaylen Warren. And I think George Pickens in deeper leagues, he can be considered. And then the 2 defenses. That's it. Let's talk about these guys, though, because I do think I would play Ezekiel Elliott over Alexander Madison, for example. I would play Ezekiel Elliott over T. Higgins. This is PPR. I think half PPR. Even more so, I would be interested in Zeke. Zeke's over-under for rushing yards tonight is 58.5, 59.5. He's got right around 18.5 total receiving yards. I think he's going to get pretty close to that. Guys, last week, let me pull up the game logs here for Zeke. Last week, when Ramondre Stevenson got hurt last week, he wasn't hurt the whole game, but he was hurt for a good portion of it. Zeke saw a very significant workload, 70% snap share, 17 carries, 5 targets, 22 total opportunities. I think he caught 4 of his 5. So, yeah, he had 21 touches last week. And that was in a game where Ramondre wasn't injured the entire time. No Ramondre Stevenson tonight, likely no Ramondre Stevenson for the foreseeable future. I do think Ezekiel Elliott can get to 5 targets tonight pretty easily, and he can get to 20 carries tonight pretty easily, assuming the Patriots are able to sustain drives, which the over-under would suggest they aren't. And the Steelers' defense has been pretty good this season, but really not so great of late. Last week, guys, James Conner, 105 yards and 2 touchdowns against them. The week before that, Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt, they combined for 20 points. They had 24 total carries. Teams have been running pretty heavily against the Pittsburgh Steelers because their offense can't score points. And as long as the Pittsburgh Steelers offense doesn't score points, the Patriots are going to run the ball a lot. So, yeah, I like Zeke as just a volume-based play. I think his floor is pretty high. I think his floor is over 10 points tonight, and I think his ceiling is in the 20s if he can find the end zone, which again, Vegas does not think is going to happen. I think that there absolutely is a chance there. I would play Zach Moss, though, for example. I'm playing him over Jaylen Warren and Ezekiel Elliott. Zach Moss is not coming off the field. He came off the field for like 2 plays last week. I'm not benching him in a pretty good spot against the Bengals this week. Let me pull up Jaylen Warren here. Actually, Zeke versus Jaylen Warren, I think is close. I think I do like Jaylen Warren due to the Najee Harris injury, and Najee Harris is active tonight. He is going to be playing tonight. So, yeah, I think I would go Zeke over Jaylen Warren. I think I would go Zach Moss, though, over Zeke. And I think Jaylen Warren's ceiling is higher than Zeke's. But Jaylen Warren's going to be splitting the backfield with Najee, assuming Najee has enough health to see close to his normal workload. Like, I do think he will be limited to some extent. But, yeah, I'm definitely playing Jaylen Warren over Najee for that reason. Najee Harris did not practice at all this week. Javonte or Pickens? Yeah, definitely Javonte over Pickens. I would play Zeke over A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. I do think there's a decent chance Aaron Jones goes this week. If you're watching live on TikTok, guys, going to restart the TikTok live. I'll be right back. Some lag here on my end. On the YouTube live, yeah, I would play Warren over Najee. I'll get to the Muth question here in a second. I don't really love Muth tonight, though. I'll pull up the game log for Muth here in a second. Let's pull up the game log for Muth. The Patriots have been really, really good against tight ends, too. I'll pull up those numbers. After Muth had that one massive game, and then he really petered out last week. Yeah, he was tight end 1 back in week 12 against the Bengals. But yeah, the Pats have been the 4th best defense against tight ends this season. Very, very elite. Only 5 targets for Muth last week. We got Mitchell Trubisky starting tonight. Doesn't make me feel much better about him either. Big time Chance Vane. How we doing, man? We are live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube. What's going on? Kylo, hope you had a good week so far. All good. Sunday morning live was great as always. And we cashed on the Devontae Smith prop. All right, so I'm going a little against the data on my prop pick tonight, which I don't do much for those of you that have been following me for a while. But I do like this play tonight as a pretty easy prop to hit for a guy. Juju Smith-Schuster played 92% of the snaps last week. He had 3 targets last week. The week before that, he had 4 targets. They're setting his over-under at 1.5 receptions. This is a hashtag revenge game for Juju as well. I'm taking Juju over 1.5 receptions as the free player prop of the night. Cash that one in. Sutton or Puka flex. Yeah, I'm going to prioritize the Thursday night start sits, but I probably would lean Puka over Sutton. Rashad White or Monty, not a Thursday night question. Warren or Ford to start? Yeah, I would go Jaylen Warren over Jerome Ford. I am playing Jaylen Warren over Alexander Madison. Jake, I just hit the prop of the day. It is Juju Smith-Schuster over 1.5 receptions. And again, guys, this game is projected to be historically low scoring. We got a 30-point over-under tonight. We have not seen a game with this low over-under or lower than this. We have not seen a game lower than this over-under-wise since 2004. Unreal stuff here tonight. And I do think the game goes over this total, by the way, because this total is just laughably low. I think the defenses alone could get close to scoring this many points. Smash that like for my man Sam. You guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button if you're watching live on TikTok. It does help me out a ton. So yeah, I like Ezekiel Elliott as a volume-based RB2 today, especially in PPR leagues. He had 5 targets last week, 19% target share, 70% snap share. That was in a game where Ramondre Stevenson still played a decent amount. The Steelers just let up 2 touchdowns over 100 yards to James Conner. We've seen multiple games like that against the Steelers this season. And part of the reason teams are able to do that is the offense for the Steelers can't put up points. That being said, Mitch Trubisky starting tonight. I do expect a pretty big usage game from Jaylen Warren. I like him a decent amount, similar, comparable to Zeke. I would play Zeke over Jaylen Warren if I had to choose between the two. But yeah, both to me are high floor plays. I would argue that Jaylen Warren's a little bit lower of a floor, a little bit higher of a ceiling, though, tonight. And Jaylen Warren versus Zay Flowers is definitely a close one. It's definitely a close one. Yeah, I think I'd probably lean Jaylen Warren over Zay Flowers, though, with the weather projection in that Ravens game. We are seeing some pretty significant wind projections in some of these games this week. Not a Thursday night question here, but I probably would go Lamar over Fields. Hey, Sam Swift or Achane. Yeah, I'm not benching Achane right now. Zeke or Breece. Yeah, it's so tough to trust Breece Hall right now. It does feel like Breece is going down with the ship a bit. Guys, if you're just tuning into the YouTube live, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. We got a historically low projected scoring game tonight, guys. We got a game projected for 30 points. We have not seen a game projected this low of scoring since 2004. It's been almost 20 years since we've seen a game with a projection this low in terms of the over-under. I think it goes over, by the way, and I dug this stat up from Sharp Football Analysis, who really dug this stat up. In the Super Bowl era, we've seen 7 games with a total of 30 points or less, and 6 of those games actually went over. And I do think this one goes over as well, despite the backup quarterbacks, despite the horrible offenses, despite the decent defenses. 30 points is just so low, guys, in an NFL game. And the free player prop of the day, I got him up on the screen right now on the YouTube Live. I'll actually pull up this on the TikTok Live as well. This is straight from the Walter Picks app. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, check it out. I'm telling you, it's the best app for fantasy and betting insights, and it's only getting better, and it is free in the YouTube description, in the TikTok bio. But guys, Juju Smith-Schuster over 1.5 receptions. Juju played almost 100% of the snaps last week for the Patriots. This is a hashtag revenge game for Juju. He's got 5 targets in his last 2 games. They're setting his line at 1.5 receptions. Guys, I'm a Pats fan. Juju has been horrendous this season. But can he catch the ball twice in this game, in a game where all of the Patriots receivers are injured? Ramondre Stevenson is injured. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be out there over 75% of the snaps. Tyquan Thornton has only ran wind sprints since he joined the Patriots. We have Kayshon Boutte, who's done nothing this entire season, has barely played. They refuse to play their most talented offensive player, Malik Cunningham, the Patriots. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be out there basically every single snap. This is too low of a receptions line for a guy who had a 38% target share last week. It was only 3 targets because they barely threw the ball. That target share was Tyquan Thornton, actually. It was Devontae Parker, who will be active tonight as well. I do like Juju Smith-Schuster over 1.5 receptions tonight. He's had at least a 10% target share 3 of his last 4 games. Again, 1.5 receptions. It's just such a low bar to hit. I do think Juju can do it. All right, Zeke or Pickens. Yeah, so I do like the upside for Pickens tonight, but the floor is much, much, much higher for Zeke. I would go Zeke over Pickens. Again, Zeke had 21 touches last game, and that was a game where he played 70% of the snaps. And Ramondre Stevenson, let me pull up the snap share here actually for Ramondre, just as a refresher of how much he actually played. Ramondre played 27% of the snaps. He played 17 snaps. He's going to play 0 tonight. He's out. Most of those 17 snaps, at least half of them probably are going to go Zeke's way. I think Zeke gets over a 70% snap share tonight. I do think we see Ty Montgomery mix in a little bit, probably on 3rd downs. But yeah, the floor is pretty high for Zeke in a game where he should get to 20 touches. Why start Warren and bench Najee? Because Najee Harris did not practice all week dealing with a knee injury. Najee Harris has also been outscored by Jaylen Warren in almost every single game this season. Najee Harris is worse at football than Jaylen Warren. He has outtouched him the last few games, especially notable since Matt Canada has been out. Back-to-back games with 15-plus carries for Najee Harris. He's got 3 total targets in those games. We look at the game logs here for Jaylen Warren, and I'll pull up here again on the TikTok Live, kind of my high-level takeaways for the game tonight, fantasy-wise. But he's had more carries than Jaylen Warren back-to-back games. Jaylen Warren does have more targets than him, though, in back-to-back weeks. And again, Najee Harris didn't practice all this week. He is not at 100%. I do like Jaylen Warren more for that reason as well. But yeah, if we look in depth here at this comparison to Jaylen Warren is averaging more points per game this season than Najee Harris. Jaylen Warren is averaging more total yards per game than Najee Harris. Despite playing fewer snaps, despite getting less carries, he's still averaging more total yards. He's averaging 5.9 yards per carry compared to 4.2 for Najee Harris. Najee Harris is incapable of making big plays. That is not the case for Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren, though, is averaging more catches per game, more receiving yards per game. He's running more routes per game, getting more targets per game, and way better efficiency here. Not way better, but better again, efficiency here for Jaylen Warren. So yeah, I'm going Warren for sure. Hey, Sam, you missed my question. I have Henry in bench for Ezekiel Elliott and Achane in RB2. In Cup at flex, should I go Henry and Achane or Elliott and Achane? Yeah, I do think I would play Zeke over Derrick Henry. I do not feel great about Derrick Henry against the Miami Dolphins this week. Actually, I'm going to the Miami Dolphins, Tennessee Titans game this week, which I'm pumped for. First game I'm going to all season. But the Miami Dolphins are 13-point favorites this week. That is not good, guys, for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry thrives in good, positive game scripts, and he fails. He flops in negative game scripts. And we've seen this in fantasy throughout this season. They like Tyjae Spears more as a receiving back than Derrick Henry. And if they're 13-point underdogs, as they should be against the Dolphins, what's that mean for Derrick Henry? It's tough to get behind him for this week. Back-to-back weeks, we've been riding Derrick Henry in positive game scripts, but it's a negative game script game, most likely for Derrick Henry this week. I'm fine going Zeke and Jaylen Warren over Derrick Henry this week. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button, guys. Helps me out way more than you realize. I do appreciate all of you. AJ Dillon or Zeke? Yeah, I'm going Zeke over AJ Dillon. Guys, Zeke is a fine play tonight. So you think I should start Warren or Chuba, who's been on fire? Yeah, let me pull up the Chuba Hubbard game logs here. I think that one's pretty close, honestly. And I want to double check on the matchup there, too. I think they're playing the Saints, who have been similar matchup versus the Pats. Chuba Hubbard, let's look at the snap share here in the usage. Yeah, back-to-back games. Wow, 25 carries, 104 yards, 2 TDs against the Bucs last week. I certainly got that one wrong. Swinging a miss for me there last week. I'm fine going Chuba Hubbard here over Jalen Warren. Again, you got to take the context of this game into account. I think it's a decent tiebreaker to look at this game tonight and say, wow, this is the lowest. We have not seen a lower over-under in a game in the NFL, projected over-under, projected total points by Vegas, who is extremely accurate at projecting the scoring of games. This is the lowest. We have not seen a lower projection. Sorry, it's not the lowest. It is a tie for the lowest. But we have not seen a lower projection in terms of total points from Vegas in a game since 2004. It's been 20 years. So it's a decent tiebreaker. We're not going to see a ton of touchdowns tonight. I do think we see a touchdown tonight, though. I don't love the bet against a touchdown at all. All right, let's get to some more comments, some more start-sit decisions here. As always, guys, the Walter Picks app, it's the best place to go for your start-sit decisions. I'm telling you, it is free. Almost all the features are free, and all the premium features come for free for 7 days if you use code SAM when you sign up as well. I do appreciate that. I'm not starting Najee Harris at all tonight. It's a low over-under game. He didn't practice all week, and he's worse than Jalen Warren. The Pats defense has been fine against running backs. No thank you for me to Najee Harris tonight. Sam, what's up, brother? I got a big one for you to get a playoff berth. Yeah, Josh, we're locked in, man. I've never been so locked in at this point of the fantasy season. I'm in 7 high-stakes leagues. It's objectively too many leagues. People ask me all the time, how many fantasy leagues is too many fantasy leagues? And the true answer, the right, objectively correct answer is more than 2 fantasy leagues. It's too many leagues. It's the point where you're starting and facing the same players. I'm in 7, and I'm right now poised to make the playoffs in 6 of those 7, but a couple of these are coming down to the last week, and we got to get in, man. It's all about making the playoffs, and then we just got to grind out wins once we're in. All right, I got Kyren Williams, Saquon, Pacheco, Monty, Kupp, and Devonta. I need 2 running backs and wide receiver to flex. What do we think? Okay, there's no Thursday night start sits here. So we're going to take a deep breath because I'll be able to get to this one Sunday morning here as well. Pacheco has not practiced all week, so I am a little bit concerned about that. It feels like, guys, this year's Jerick McKinnon might be Jerick McKinnon. I would go add Jerick McKinnon if he's available in your league. Pacheco has not practiced all week. McKinnon's getting back to full strength. Last year, Jerick McKinnon legitimately won leagues for anyone confident enough to start him. All right, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, or James Cook. Again, not a Thursday night question here, but yeah, I'm not feeling good about Derrick Henry at all. I'm not feeling great about Swift either. And yeah, Breece Hall, he didn't practice this week. I am a little bit scared about that. All right, we got a Thursday night question here. We'll prioritize the Thursday night questions. Moss, Mixon, Waddle, Debo. I do really like Moss a lot. I probably would go Waddle there, though. Flowers or Pickens? Yeah, that one's pretty close. I'll do that comparison here in a second. I think I would probably go Flowers over Pickens. All right, Zeke, Rice, Waddle, start 2. Oh, this is a close one. This is PPR. You got to bench Zeke here. This is a PPR league. I would bench Zeke. I'm definitely going to play Waddle over Zeke, and I think I'm going Rice over Zeke, too, in a PPR league. Rashee Rice has back-to-back games of at least a 30% target share. In PPR leagues, I'm starting that. I'm starting that with Patrick Mahomes, a receiver who's getting back-to-back games of 30% of Patrick Mahomes' passing attempts. Like, sign me up for that in PPR leagues 100% of the time, and that's what you're getting with Rashee Rice. I do like the floor for Zeke tonight. I'd argue it's probably even higher than Rashee Rice's floor, but the ceiling for Rashee Rice is definitely higher in that game. Yeah, you got to bench Zeke here. He's a fine high floor start, but he's not the same ceiling option as these other guys. And I think the floor, honestly, is fine for Jalen Waddle and Rashee Rice just in general. All right, Swift, Zeke, or Puka. That Ravens defense looks scary. Yeah, that Rams-Ravens game. Let me pull up the weather report here, too. Weatherman Sam does need to chime in just briefly on the Thursday Night Live. I try to stay away from the weather reports this early in the week, but sometimes I can't help myself, especially when some of the weather reports look as bad as some of them do. And this Rams-Ravens game is one that's looking pretty concerning. We're going to see a lot of rain in that game and also wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. We're going to see similar type of weather in the Texans-Jets game too, which has almost as low of an over-under as this game tonight. The Jaguars and Browns game also has some concerning wind and rain in that one too. So yeah, I'm fine going Zeke over Puka for that reason. I'm fine going Zeke over Swift also. I do think Kenneth Gainwell is starting to eat away at Swift's role a little bit. With Derrick Henry questionable, should I start Zeke tonight? Yeah, so nothing about Derrick Henry being questionable. Derrick Henry's going to play. It does not sound like Derrick Henry's not going to play this week. I would be pretty shocked if Derrick Henry did not play this week. But Zeke's still a better option. Zeke's still probably going to get more touches than Derrick Henry this week because Zeke is not as game script dependent as Derrick Henry, nor is it as expected that Zeke is going to be in a negative game script. Derrick Henry's going to be trailing. The Titans are going to be losing. They're down. They're 13-point underdogs in this game. They're basically starting the game already losing. The Titans secondary will not stop the Dolphins. They will not stop the Dolphins offense. And that means they're playing from behind. That means the Tyjae Spears game more so than it means the Derrick Henry game. So yeah, I'm fine going Zeke over Derrick Henry. And I do like Zeke more than Jaylen Warren. I like Jaylen Warren more than Najee Harris, though. And I like Jaylen Warren because Najee Harris didn't practice all week. Also, the last time, guys, that Mitchell Trubisky played the Patriots, this was back in 2018. I dug this one up. Actually, one of our creators in Slack dug this one up this morning. The last time Mitch Trubisky played against the Pats was 2018. Tariq Cohen, he was on the Bears. Tariq Cohen had 9 receptions in that game. Pretty comparable player, I'd say, to Jaylen Warren. Definitely an interesting note there. But yeah, I think the floor and ceiling for Jaylen Warren's interesting tonight with the Najee Harris injuries and him not being at 100%. Zeke or Higgins or London or Spears, Addison, rank them. Yeah, so I put Zeke first here. I think Zeke's floor is higher than all of these guys. I would play Zeke over T. Higgins. I'd play Zeke over London, over Spears, over Addison. I don't know how we could possibly start T. Higgins. Right now, he didn't do much. Just played a big Jake Browning game in his first game back. Sure, T. Higgins has a high ceiling, but the floor is just way too low, guys, to be starting T. Higgins. Drake London is interesting in his spot. I do think he has a decent game against the Buccaneers, but the Falcons just do not pass enough for his floor to be too great. I like Spears in his spot this week too, but his volume is still not as good of a projection as Zeke's. And Jordan Addison with Justin Jefferson back is definitely a big question mark too. So yeah, and yeah, you're seeing here T. Higgins only had 3 targets, 8% target share, and a huge Jake Browning game on Monday Night Football. So yeah, I'd go Zeke here over T. Higgins, Zeke over Drake London, Zeke over Spears, Zeke over Addison as well. Singletary or Spears, not a Thursday night question there, but I probably would go with Spears over Singletary. Definitely close, though. Would you start Gabe Davis, Amari Cooper, or Romeo Doubs? Not a Thursday night question either. I don't think Amari Cooper's even going to play. Probably Romeo Doubs there. Kupp or Harris at flex? Oh, man. Yeah, that's not a question that I thought I would have to consider, before the season. I think I would go Cooper Kupp over Najee Harris. It's pretty close. Again, bad weather projection here in the Rams game. Warren or Puka? Or Warren over Laporta. Yeah, I would play Warren over Laporta. I do not like starting 2 tight ends. I almost never start 2 tight ends because, guys, the tight end landscape, it's hard enough as it is. Hitting 1 tight end in a given week is hard enough as it is. Don't do it to yourself. Don't start 2. It really is, I think, that simple. Certainly some exceptions to that rule, of course. But yeah, wow, this one's close between Cooper Kupp and Najee Harris. Cooper Kupp's down bad, man. In a tough matchup here, tough weather. And I still think Cooper Kupp over Najee makes sense because, guys, Najee Harris is not healthy. He did not practice at all this week. He's expected to play. It does seem pretty likely that we're going to see a decreased workload for Najee. He's probably going to be right around 40 to 50% of the snaps. He's been under 4 yards per carry 2 of his last 3 games. The usage has been fine. Not a good matchup here, though, against the Pats. You got to think the Pats make Mitchell Trubisky beat them. And this is part of the reason this over-under in this game is only 30 points. Sam, I need you, man. Flex. Jaylen Warren, DeAndre Hopkins, Breece Hall. Yeah, so Breece Hall is dealing with injuries as well. Definitely concerning there also, especially concerning that they're trying to get Dalvin Cook more involved. He played 68% of the snaps last week. He had 13 carries, and he had another 8 targets, 22% target share for Breece. And yeah, ankle misses another practice, putting him on the wrong side of playing this week. So I wouldn't count on Breece Hall in this one. So let's do Jaylen Warren versus DeAndre Hopkins. I would play Jaylen Warren over Breece straight up if I had to make that call tonight because I'm not sure Breece Hall is going to play, and I'm not willing to risk that on a Thursday night. But yeah, it's Hopkins here. It's Hopkins over Jaylen Warren. It's Hopkins over Najee Harris too, especially if that's a PPR league. Yo, Sam, week 14, big matchups for everyone. Need your help on this one. Chuba Hubbard or Jaylen Warren. Yeah, we're just looking at that one earlier, and it's close, man. I would go Chuba Hubbard over Najee Harris. I think that was the one we were actually looking at before. I think Jaylen Warren versus Chuba Hubbard is even closer. Chuba Hubbard's coming off a big game. I think it does make sense to go with Chuba Hubbard. And I actually think this might have been the comparison we looked at earlier. And I think this makes sense when you think about the context of the game environment that we're expecting tonight. We're expecting an extremely low-scoring game tonight, guys. I mean, this, again, I can't emphasize how crazy this over-under is, 30 points in this game. Meanwhile, the Panthers game, not expected to be super high scoring by any means, but still, that Carolina Panthers game over-under is 8 points higher than this game tonight. 38-point over-under in the Panthers Saints game. They're 5-point underdogs. Should hopefully be a good receiving day for Chuba Hubbard. Again, I'll pull this up because this is truly, I can't really wrap my head around that fact that we have not seen a game with a lower over-under than tonight's game since 2004. Think about where you were in 2004. I'm sure some of you were not even, it didn't even exist yet. You weren't even born the last time we saw an NFL game projected to be so low scoring. And it's not even weather related. There's not even bad weather in the game tonight. But we got Bailey Zappi going against Mitch Trubisky, two horrible offenses. The Pats have scored 13 total points over the last month. I mean, literally, the Dolphins scored more points in 2 drives, like the first 2 drives of their last game, than the Patriots have scored in the last month. Absolutely ridiculous. And then on top of that, the Pats defense has been good. And Steelers defense has been good enough to stop the Pats offense. So yeah, it's a good tiebreaker here to just go Chuba Hubbard over Jaylen Warren. If you're on the edge, like a close one here, then bench the guy tonight because it is expected to be a low-scoring game. I do think it goes over that 30-point over-under, but maybe not necessarily because the offenses score a lot of points. Sam, pick 2, Zeke, Gibbs, Mixon, half PPR. Yeah, so you're certainly starting Gibbs here, 100%. He's an easy start out of these 3. Then it's between Mixon and Zeke, and man, my gut is saying Zeke, and I want to see what Walter says about this one. We did see Walter's going to say Mixon over Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, Mixon gets the Colts this week. A good spot for him. You got to go Mixon over Zeke. And part of the reason my gut was saying Zeke was Chase Brown looked pretty good. Did steal some work from Mixon in his last game, but Mixon still played a large snap percentage, still had 15 carries, 7 targets for Mixon in his last game. So yeah, go Mixon over Zeke. I think that makes a lot of sense. Moss or Brees? Yeah, it's Moss over Brees. I think pretty easily. Moss is a must start. I think like 100%. I'm not benching Moss in any spots. Zeke or Ford? Yeah, I'm going Zeke over Ford. Start Zeke or Monty. Man, that one's close. Monty against the Bears, though, you probably have to go Monty. And again, a good tiebreaker for a decision like Ezekiel Elliott for David Montgomery is look at the projected points to be scored tonight. Only 30. It's not even close to that in that Lions game. Zeke or Javonte? That one's pretty close. Let's do that comparison. I think it's Javonte over Zeke, though, too. He gets the Chargers. Not a horrible matchup here, there for him. Yeah, it's Javonte over Zeke pretty easily. Under 30, Steelers win, Zeke over 17.5 receiving yards. Yeah, so I don't like the under of 30. We've seen 7 games in the Super Bowl era, only 7 games with a total of 30 points or less, an over-under total of 30 points or less. 6 of those 7 games hit over because 30 points isn't a lot. Like, yes, both of these offenses are terrible. Yes, both these defenses are pretty solid, especially the Pats defense. But still, 30 points is just so little. You get a couple defensive plays in this game, and all of a sudden the offenses are at the goal line. 30 points is just such a low bar to clear. I'd be careful with the under in this game, despite how bad these offenses have been this season. Mostert or Warren? Yeah, I think I would lean Mostert over Warren. Muth, Everett, or Likely? Yeah, I'm going Likely there. I would play Likely over Everett and Muth. I'm nervous still about that Ravens-Rams weather, but if you ignore that for a second, Likely is definitely the best option there. And I do not want Muth. Guys, the Pats have stopped every single tight end that they played this season. Let me pull up the numbers here for how the Pats have done against tight ends, but it has been pretty ugly for tight ends playing against the Pats. The Pats defense in general has been pretty strong this season. Let me pull this up. They're allowing the 5th fewest points per game to tight ends. Depending how you look at it, it's the 4th fewest. Just last week, Gerald Everett, he went under 10 points. We've only seen 3 tight ends go over 10 points. Jake Ferguson had 14, Michael Mayer had 12, and Dalton Kincaid had 16. Nobody's been over 16.5 points. Muth is not going to go over 16.5 points tonight. He is likely going to go under 10. Isaiah Likely at least has a ceiling if that game stays close. Again, I am worried about the weather, though, in that one a little bit. Warren, Ayuk, or Chuba at flex? Yeah, this one's Ayuk. You got to go Ayuk here. Warren or Derrick Henry? Yeah, so I'm nervous about Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry's a bench, guys. He's playing the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 13-point favorites. Derrick Henry is just not involved in games like that. If they're actually going to be down 10 points, in the first half, 7 to 10 points, Derrick Henry will get phased out of that game. I'm fine going Jaylen Warren over Derrick Henry. All right, let's pull up Jaylen Warren. Let's pull up Najee Harris and Zeke. I think these are the most common guys I'm seeing in the start sits tonight. I would look to bench Najee Harris if I could because he didn't practice this week because it's not a great matchup as well. Hey, Sam, pick 2, Jones, Harris, Flowers, and Reed. Yeah, bench Harris. Start Reed and Jones. I think you hold out hope for Jones. We'll see about if he plays or not. I think fine to start Flowers over Jones, depending on the reports there. I think Jaden Reed over Cooper Kupp is fine. Hey, Sam, I really need your help. If I win, I make the playoffs. If I lose, I don't. Devontae Parker or Zay Jones? My gut is telling me Zay Jones. Yeah, Zay Jones. It's Zay Jones. I almost walked in the Devontae Parker trap tonight. The floor is 0 points for Devontae Parker tonight, and the ceiling is like 15. Like, I just don't want to start guys like that. And Zay Jones, I think, is a better range of outcomes there. Chuba or Zeke? Yeah, I'm going Zeke over Chuba Hubbard. Monty or Zeke? I'm going Monty over Zeke. Pick 3 full PPR. White, HN, Mixon, Monty. Not a Thursday night question, but I'd probably bench Mixon and Monty, I think, there. I'd start White, HN, and Jacob. Zeke or Madison PPR? Yeah, Zeke over Madison for me pretty easily. Madison is a good matchup this week, but I still think his floor is lower than Zeke's. I still think he gets less points. Need your help to clinch playoffs, Sam. Keaton Mitchell, Hall, Aaron Jones, pick 1. Yeah, I think this one's Keaton Mitchell, and we don't even know if Hall's going to play. It seems like he's on the wrong side of questionable right now, but definitely possible. Yeah, I'm going Jaden Reed over Cooper Kupp this week. Jake, I got you. Let me just get to this one really quick because I pulled it up. Warren, Ridley, Reed, Higgins, Pierce, or Sharp. Yeah, I think there's a decent chance Pacheco misses. We'll have to monitor that closely. I would play Warren over Ridley. I would play Warren over T. Higgins. I would play Warren over Dameon Pierce. And Zach Charbonnet, I don't think he'd be trusted either. So, yeah, this one's Warren. Start Jalen Warren. And Jaden Reed is definitely in the cards here also against the Giants without Christian Watson in the lineup. That one's pretty close, honestly. But I think I still signed with Jalen Warren. What's the free player prop of the day? Yeah, so the free player prop of the day, guys, we are 21-9. We cashed the Devontae Smith prop last week. That one was a layup. It literally cashed in the first half. And tonight, I think we got a chance to cash this one in the first half as well. And it's not going to feel great. I'm telling you, it's not going to feel great. But I think the logic is here. Juju Smith-Schuster, I'll pull up the game logs here on the YouTube live, but Juju Smith-Schuster, he's got 7 targets in his last 2 games. 3 catches in his last 2 games. I'm setting this line at 1.5. He's had at least 10%, at least 11% target share, 3 of his last 4. And he didn't come off the field. He's not coming off the field. 92% snap share. He's had over a 90% snap share in 2 of his last 3 games. Guys, the Pats had no bodies at wide receiver. And it's also a hashtag revenge game for Juju tonight. Like, don't be shocked when we see Juju get a catch in the first drive tonight, and then he's 1 catch away for the whole rest of the game to go over 1.5 receptions. I just think this line is too low. It's like minus 150 odds I was seeing before the live started. He's going over 1.5 catches in this game. The Pats are also 5.5-point underdogs. They're going to have to throw to some extent in this game. I think that's good news for Juju, especially in this hashtag revenge game. Jalen Warren or Austin Eckler? Yeah, I'm still going Eckler over Jalen Warren. I do think this report about Joshua Kelly, eating into Eckler's role, it's like being a little bit overblown. I think it's getting a little bit overblown. I still think Austin Eckler's a must start in fantasy. Brees or Rice? Yes, Rice over Brees. Brees might not play, guys. He might not play this week. Rashee Rice, Chuba Hubbard, or Ezekiel Elliott at flex? It's Rashee Rice, and it's not particularly close. Pickens, DK, or Kupp? Choose 2. You pulled mine, but didn't answer. LOL. Good luck tonight in the game. Jason, thanks, man. And thanks for sticking around. I apologize for pulling up. Happens to me all the time. Yeah, it's DK here. And then Kupp versus Pickens is close. I actually do think Pickens has a ceiling tonight, even though the floor is a little bit scary. And I am nervous again about this Rams-Ravens weather report. Significant rain, wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. Like, oh man, that just sends a shiver down my spine. Yeah, it's Pickens. I'm playing Pickens over Kupp. This projection's close enough that when you factor in the potential weather, again, it's a little early to be so sure what the weather is actually going to be. We're still 4 or 5 days away. 4 days away. But yeah, I'm going with Pickens over Cooper Kupp, and I don't feel good about it. Like, I'm not going to feel good physically about the decision, but I think the decision is sound. All right, start 1. Parker, Roschon, Wandale, or Jameson Williams. Yes, I do not start Devontae Parker here. I'd probably go Roschon. I think I'd probably go Roschon Johnson here. Deontay Johnson or Evan Ingram. Oh, gosh. I don't feel great about that decision. I think you got to go Deontay Johnson over Evan Ingram. I don't want to start 2 tight ends. Thursday night, who do I start the flex? Higgins, Cooks, Romeo Dobbs, Pickens, Madden. Yeah, so this one's not Pickens. I think it's Romeo Dobbs or Brandon Cooks here. I would go with one of these 2 guys. Let's do that comparison quick. I think it's probably Romeo Dobbs, though, with Christian Watson. We don't even need to compare. It's Romeo Dobbs over Brandon Cooks. Cooks has a ceiling. I think Dobbs has a ceiling, too, though, and a better floor. Hey, Sam, I need help, please. Pick 2 between Zeke, Najee, Javonte, and Kanan. Yeah, I got you, Brandon. First of all, you're starting Javonte. this is a start one question between the three. You got to start Javonte versus the Chargers. I think in general, the Broncos offense just being a little bit slept on. Javonte's role too, a little bit slept on as well. So it's Najee Harris, Zeke, and Kenneth Walker. And I don't think we know for sure Kenneth Walker's going to play. And I'm definitely playing Zeke over Najee. So it really comes down to Zeke versus Kenneth Walker. And I'm playing Zeke over Najee because Zeke, I mean, Najee's best case scenario tonight, guys, he did not practice all week. So the best case scenario for Najee tonight is that he gets 50 to 55% of the snaps, 15 carries, and scores a touchdown. Like that's best case scenario. But I'd say close to the floor outcome for Zeke tonight is 20 touches. Like I really think Zeke will out-touch Najee tonight, and he has just a much higher floor and ceiling for that reason. All right, we're gonna pull up Kenneth Walker here. We're not projecting him so great here in the Walter Picks app. We got to obviously read the practice reports here. Bleak again didn't practice. Yeah, you got to start Zeke here. You got to start Javonte Williams, bench Kenneth, bench Najee. Both of them dealing with injuries. I have Christian Watson, Devontae Parker, and Jalen Hyatt. If Watson is ruled out, who should I start? Yeah, so I'm in one of my high stakes leagues where I am one win away from the playoffs, despite starting 0-5, despite drafting Nick Chubb, Mike Williams, Anthony Richardson, and Tank Dell, and Corinne Williams all this season in a 14-team league, 1 win out. And I'm starting Jalen Hyatt over Devontae Parker in that league. I thought about that one a lot. Christian Watson's not going to play. And I just don't want to suffer through Devontae Parker in my lineup tonight. I don't think it's worth it. I think Jalen Hyatt's ceiling is higher. And we saw Jalen Hyatt in his last game out. Him and Tommy DeVito had a pretty good connection against actually the team playing tonight, the Patriots. I think that the ceiling for Hyatt is actually pretty high. The floor is obviously low, but the floor is low for Devontae Parker too. Yeah, he had almost 16 points last game out. He had 6 targets, 125 air yards in that game, 109 yards. I'm cool with going Jalen Hyatt over Devontae Parker and all the Pats receivers. Hey, Sam, I need your help. Pick one. Saquon, Zach Moss, or Derrick Henry. Yeah, it's Zach Moss here. It's Zach Moss over Saquon. It's definitely Zach Moss over Derrick Henry. Javonte Rice or Eckler. Yeah, I'm not benching Eckler. I get the concern about him, guys, but I'm not. I think it's a little bit overblown. Need one for my flex. Puka, Deontay Johnson, Keaton Mitchell, Josh Downs, Dallas Goedert, starting Kincaid as my tight end 1 in a half PPR league. I think you got to go Puka here. I wouldn't start Deontay Johnson tonight, and then we're gonna see we'll have a better sense of the weather report in that Rams-Ravens game as we get closer. If the weather's really, really bad, you can just pivot to Keaton Mitchell. But if the weather's good enough that they'll at least realistically be able to throw, you got to go Puka here. And Kincaid versus Goddard, I think, is close, especially if Dawson Knox ends up returning this week. Kincaid could really be landmine in a bust this week. Start 1, Sutton, Flowers, Thielen. Yeah, it's Sutton. Here, it's Sutton over Flowers and Thielen. Do I pick Zeke up off waivers and flex him tonight? Only other option they have are Taysom and Swift. Yes, pick Zeke up off waivers. Start him over Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill has not practiced this week. Not great news for Taysom so far. And even if Taysom practices, I'd start Zeke over him. Zeke's going to touch the ball more than Taysom Hill does. The same thing goes with Swift. Zeke's going to get to close to 20 touches tonight, if not more. Hey, Sam, would you rather rest the season Mahomes or Fields and Kincaid likely or Goddard half PPR? I'd probably go Goddard rest the season. Then likely then Kincaid. I'm pretty down on Kincaid with Dawson Knox returning. And then, wow, that's really sad. Actually, I'm seeing this. I'd probably go Mahomes over Fields rest of the season, but it's close. Juju's prop is on MGM, DraftKings, or FanDuel. Wow. I literally saw, I think I had this on, I had it on the Hard Rock app. I'm in Florida, so I got access to the Hard Rock app. But I would probably just go with the Juju receiving line. If you're not seeing the receptions line, I'm sure they have a receiving line. But yeah, the official play for me, this is the one I was able to take before this live stream, is Juju over 1.5 receptions. I got this at minus 150 odds. So not the best odds, but I think that the floor here for Juju tonight is 2 catches. Like he's getting at least 2 catches in this game, and I'm not going to be surprised when he has a catch on the first drive. Sam, happy Hanukkah. Thank you, Rodney. Happy Hanukkah to all of those who celebrate. Tua or Mahomes this week? It's Mahomes. You got to go Mahomes against the Bills. I think it's close, but I would go Mahomes. Start Najee or Brandon Cooks. Yeah, I'd go Brandon Cooks over Najee Harris. I do not want to start Najee Harris tonight. Start Zeke or Reed. I would go Zeke over Reed. I do like Ezekiel Elliott getting 20-plus touches tonight. Fields or Herbert? PPR. I think the answer there is Fields. I don't think Dawson Knox is an ad either. Like I still think Kincaid's better than Knox. I just think like they're both going to cannibalize each other's roles a little bit. At least I'm fearful of that because that's what it was like in the beginning part of the season when they were both playing. Zeke or Mitchell. Yeah, I'm definitely going Zeke over Keaton Mitchell. 1 win away from the playoffs. Scott, let's go, man. Scott Sampson, lock in. Let's get into the playoffs. Achane, Henry, Zeke, Keaton Mitchell, Ford, Javonte Williams. Yeah, so you're starting Achane. If you have Achane, you're starting Achane. He's all the way back. You're benching Derrick Henry this week. You're going to bench Jerome Ford. You're going to bench Keaton Mitchell. It's between Javonte Williams and Zeke. You're going to start Achane for sure. And I think you play Javonte over Zeke. And I like Zeke tonight. I think he gets close to 20 touches tonight. But that Broncos-Chargers game is absolutely going to be higher scoring than this Pats-Steelers game. And for that reason alone, I think it makes sense to go Javonte. Don't playoff start for most people this week. No, I think most people playoff start next week. All my leagues actually playoff start next week. There are some leagues it starts this week. There are even some leagues where it starts 2 weeks from now. But the vast majority of leagues, fantasy football playoffs, they start next week. Hey, Sam, no Thursday night questions for myself. Just stopping by to wish you a good day. Wow, thanks, man. I appreciate you. I'm 5-7 visiting the 2-11 guy. Win locks me to the playoffs. Hope your Sunday stream helps me out. Yeah, Garrison, we're going to be locked in, man, Sunday morning. I know the severity of the matchups this week. I'm in some spots like that. And, man, God bless you for not having to sweat out this brutal Thursday night game. And really quickly, I mean, I can't stress just how wild of an over-under this game has. Favorite playoffs for the favorite defense for the playoffs here. Yeah, I do like the Saints defense a lot in the playoffs. Browns too, though, I think are a pretty good option. They've been bad of late. But guys, this game, this has an over-under of 30 points. We have not seen a game with a 30-point, over-under lower than 30 points since 2004. It's been over 20 years since we've seen, almost 20 years since we've seen a game with a point total lower than the one tonight. That being said, we've also not really seen many of those games hit the under. 6 of those 7 games that had a 30-point or lower over-under in the Super Bowl era in like the last 50 years have gone over. And I do think that tonight goes over. And that's part of the reason I'm taking the Juju Smith-Schuster over props, over 1.5 receptions. If you can't find that one, I do think you go to the receiving yards. I have Dalton Schultz, so I'm trying to find a backup. Waiver has Kraft, Meyer, Tremble, and Hudson in PPR. Who do you like? I don't like any of them. I'm not going to lie, Nick. I mean, if you ask me who I like, I don't like any of the above. I would not start Tremble or Mayer, though. Let's actually compare Kraft, Mayer, Hudson. I think it's between those 3. We're going to do this one quick because I think this is a pretty tough choice. My gut says it's going to be Kraft or Hudson, but Mayer's had some good moments. Yeah, it's Kraft. It's just barely Kraft. And yeah, Musgrave is out. Mayer's got the best matchup. They're all going to bust, almost definitely, though. I don't like any of them. I think the answer here, though, is Tucker Kraft. Zeke or Jacobs? Yeah, you got to go Jacobs over Zeke. Jalen Warren or Zeke tonight? Yeah, I like Zeke more than Jalen Warren by a little bit. I do think Zeke gets more touches than Jalen Warren. Jacoby Myers or Calvin Ridley? Ridley's pretty tough to trust with Trevor Lawrence looking unlikely to play this week. He did get a limited practice in somehow, though, today. If that changes, I'd probably go Ridley. Otherwise, I think it's Jacoby. My running backs this week, Jacobs, Etienne, Jr., Zach Moss. I'm in last place, need to win, and is this good? Yeah, I would say this is pretty good. I really do like Zach Moss a lot this week, too. I think he's one of the more underrated running backs heading into this week. Deontay or Amari Cooper? Yeah, you got to go Deontay. I don't think Amari's going to play. I don't think Amari practiced. Let me pull up the report here for Amari. But I know he's dealing with a concussion and a rib injury, I think. Yeah, you can't trust Amari Cooper in your lineup. I do not think Amari plays. Steelers or Texans D? I go Steelers defense. Play the Steelers defense for sure. Actually, Texans defense, they get the Jets, right? Yeah, it's a close one. I think you go Steelers defense, though. Hey, Sam, the Patriots offense has scored 13 points in the last month. Hey, Sam, Gibbs or Derrick Henry? Full PPR, it's Gibbs over Henry easily. Do you think Najee will be limited? Yes, I do think Najee will be limited. I do not trust Najee Harris at all tonight for that reason. He didn't practice at all this week. He already is one of the least explosive players in the NFL. Hey, Sam, Johnson or Zay? Yeah, it's Zay over Johnson. Is Pacheco going to play? I don't know, Justin. He hasn't practiced this week. I would say, I would estimate 60% chance he plays because it sounds like the injury he's dealing with isn't that big, but he hasn't practiced this week. There's absolutely a chance Pacheco doesn't play. It does warrant an ad for Jerick McKinnon and Clyde, depending how deep your league is. I think this year's Jerick McKinnon guys, it might end up being Jerick McKinnon. D-Hop or Pickens, please, bro. Yeah, it's D-Hop over Pickens for sure. Zeke over Hubbard for me. But it's close. Zeke first TD. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. If I'm going first TD tonight, I'm going Zeke, I'm going Warren, or I'm going George Pickens. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you there's not going to be a touchdown scored tonight because there almost definitely will be a touchdown scored tonight. I had some discourse in our Slack about that today. But yeah, there's going to be a touchdown in this game. Zeke over Pacheco. Yeah, for sure. Zeke over Pacheco with the chance that Pacheco does not play. Deontay or Godwin? There's been a lot of Godwin chatter this week. I mean, his girlfriend or his wife or something brought something up about his usage. The coaches are getting questioned about the Chris Godwin usage. Chris Godwin getting questioned about the Chris Godwin usage. It has a little bit of a squeaky wheel narrative here for Chris Godwin. It wouldn't be that shocking to see the Chris Godwin usage see a slight uptick here against the Falcons, a dome game in a week with a lot of weather stuff too. I probably would go Godwin over Deontay, Godwin over George Pickens as well. Thank you, Sam. Also, Mixon, White, Jones, and Bijan pick 2 for my running back, or even Zeke. Yeah, you're not starting Zeke here. Absolutely not. You're benching Jones. You're starting Bijan. You're starting White, and you're benching Mixon. Start Bijan and Rachaad White for sure. Even in a tough match for both guys. Why Pickens over Johnson? Yeah, Pickens just has a much higher ceiling to me than Deontay. They're pretty comparable. They're close. But we've seen Mitch Trubisky favor towards George Pickens rather than Deontay Johnson in the past. That's the reason I slightly lean George Pickens over Deontay Johnson. Like historically, Deontay Johnson's been the one that's commanded the targets, not George Pickens when they're both playing. But when Mitch Trubisky plays, it's been flopped. It's been the opposite. Rashee Rice, Jaden Reed, Deontay Johnson, or Zay Flowers, pick 2. Yeah, it's Rashee Rice, 100%. It is the pick 1. Look, start Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice has back-to-back games with a 30% target share. Let me pull the Rashee Rice game logs here because they're pretty impressive. And now they get a potential shootout here, potential AFC divisional matchup here against the Bills. You got to start Rashee Rice for sure this week, 100%. He's a top 20 wide receiver. Again, yeah, back-to-back games with over 30% target share. I'm going Jaden Reed over Deontay. I'm going Jaden Reed over Zay Flowers too with the weather report in that game. I would play Zeke over Keaton Mitchell. I like Pickens just because Mitch Trubisky has favored George Pickens in the past. Let me look this up. George Pickens games with Mitch Trubisky. Career stats with Mitch Trubisky. He's averaging 57.5 yards, 6 targets. His last game, one of his most recent games with Mitch Trubisky, he had 8 targets, 6 catches, 102 yards. That was against the Jets back in 2022. He's had some good games with Mitch Trubisky, more so than Deontay Johnson has. That's the slight lean towards Pickens over Deontay, but neither are like locks tonight by any means in terms of their floor. Jaden Reed or Cooper Kupp? Yeah, it's Jaden Reed over Cooper Kupp with no Christian Watson. Elliott or Warren? Yeah, I lean Elliott over Warren. I do think Elliott gets more volume than Warren with Najee Harris active, even though he's not at full health. Zeke or Godwin? Got to go Zeke, in my opinion, over Godwin. I have Jalen Warren, but I also have David Montgomery and Zach Moss starting. Do you recommend swapping any of those two for Warren tonight? Nope, definitely not. I would not do that. Again, a good tiebreaker when you're looking at guys in good offenses like David Montgomery, guys with really good volume like Zach Moss. Ask yourself, are they playing in a game with an over-under as low as tonight? Because I can promise you they aren't. We have not seen – sorry, that was the wrong one I pulled up. We've not seen an over-under projection from Las Vegas for a game below 30 points since 2004. So this is the lowest over-under we've seen in almost 20 years. 30 points is what's projected to be scored tonight. So yeah, it's a good tiebreaker to bench Jalen Warren, to bench Najee Harris, even to bench Zeke if you have decent options that you're comparing them against. Yeah, so I'm definitely starting David Montgomery over Jalen Warren. I'm definitely starting the other option you had listed there over him as well. Zeke or Godwin? Yeah, I'm going Zeke over Godwin. Yeah, Zach Moss. I'm definitely starting Zach Moss over Jalen Warren and Zeke and Najee Harris tonight. Any Allen Robinson prop love since he's played with Mitch in the past? Really interesting shout here, Terrell. And the prop lines for A-Rob, I mean, they were low. Let me pull up the game logs here for A-Rob. We did cash an A-Rob under earlier this season on a Thursday Night Live, and he actually caught a pass on the first play of the game and then still hit his under. He had one catch. I think we was under like 9.5 yards. He had one catch for 8 yards on the first play and then did not get a catch again the rest of the game. Let's see if I can even – I think it was probably this week 7 game. Maybe he had one catch for 7 yards, or maybe it was this game against the Titans actually on Thursday night, one catch for 10 yards in that one. But yeah, I mean, A-Rob's out there for close to half the snaps. I don't hate it. I don't hate the narrative, the old shower narrative between A-Rob and Mitch Trubisky. Why not? Yeah, they do have a lot of games together historically. A-Rob, though, has been pretty terrible this season. But I do think that like the prop lines are low enough that I'm fine. I'm fine with the narrative. That's a very similar narrative, honestly. Like I'm taking a narrative-driven prop tonight. I got nothing against the narrative-driven props, especially on a game like the game tonight with so many low prop lines. Is Puka a must-start if Kupp is out? Yeah, he probably is, depending on what the weather ends up being in that game. But I like the Juju Smith-Schuster prop tonight in the hashtag revenge game against the Steelers with the Patriots crumbling at the wide receiver position. Devontae Parker is going to be active almost definitely tonight. He should be the top receiver for the Pats, but Juju's going to be out there close to 90% or more of the snaps. This is just the lines are just too low for a guy that's out there every single play on a team that has horrible receivers. Would you take Juju at 2.5 minus 130? I like that one a lot less, Alex. I'm not going to lie. I still like it. I would still take it. I like it a lot less, though. Like 3 receptions. When was the last time Juju had 3 receptions? Let me pull up this line. I honestly, let me pull this up. I think I would be fine with this. He said 7 targets in his last 2 games. He did have a 6-catch game. Let me pull up the numbers here against the Steelers too. The Pats are 5.5-point underdogs. I do think that Juju will be featured tonight to some extent. And yeah, I mean, we've seen receivers hit at least 3 receptions so many times this year against the Steelers, most notably Tyler Boyd in their last game, Jamar Chase in their last game. Amari Cooper had 4 catches. Elijah Moore had 6 catches. All the Packers receivers had at least 3 catches. All the Titans receivers had 3 catches. All the Jaguars receivers had at least 3 catches. I mean, like 2 or 3 receivers every single week hitting 3 catches. So yeah, I'm cool with the Juju over 2.5 receptions line as well. Devontae is out tonight. That makes a lot of sense as to why the Juju Smith-Schuster line got taken down. Feel pretty good about snagging that before the live stream. Now, let me just confirm this report here. Both Seahawks running backs, they didn't practice today. Yeah. Oh, wow. Devontae Parker is out. Kayshon Boutte is out. Jamario Douglas is out. I cannot. Wow. I mean, just ridiculous stuff. JaMychal Hasty is out too. Thought he would be active. Mondre is out. I mean, who is going to get the targets? Yeah. After seeing this, it's Juju Smith-Schuster over 2.5 receptions is absolutely a fantastic line. I'm going to be updating this here live. We got Tyquan Thornton. Yeah, Boutte's out too. And that like he had a target share projection. My God. Absolutely ridiculous stuff here. And yeah, you got to think that boosts the target share here for both Juju Smith-Schuster and like Tyquan Thornton. Well, Tyquan Thornton, can you please do something other than run wind sprints for the Patriots? I also think Ty Montgomery, like he should be more involved now. I mean, some of these guys are going to have to step up. I think Mike Gesicki, Hunter Henry, you got to expect these guys to be a bit more involved too. I definitely think that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to update the Walter Picks app with this news right now. Pushing that through now. But yeah, Devontae Parker out. This is huge, honestly, for the Pats. Juju's not going to come off the field now. Another, again, revenge game narrative. I am going to keep us locked in at 1.5 receptions because we did get this before Devontae Parker was ruled out, which I did not expect, and it was not why I took that prop. But yeah, Juju is definitely in play. Why Warren over Najee? Injury? Yeah, Najee didn't practice at all this week, and he's worse than Jaylen Warren. He has been worse in almost every category. Jaylen Warren has more points per game, more yards per game, more touchdowns per game, basically everything. More efficiency in yards per carry, yards per catch. Pickens most receiving, probably. Najee is playing. Yeah, he is playing. Najee is active. He's just not at 100%. I do like Jaylen Warren more for that exact reason. I don't love playing guys that didn't practice all week and they're playing on a short week. Jaylen Warren, Chuba Hubbard, or Keaton PPR. Yeah, so I'd go Chuba Hubbard over Jaylen Warren. I'd go Chuba Hubbard over Najee Harris. Him versus Keaton is close, and that's a Sunday morning decision. We got to wait and see about the Ravens' weather too. But I feel like it's Chuba Hubbard. If I had to say right now, it's probably Chuba Hubbard over Keaton Mitchell. Pollard or Zeke, got to go Pollard over Zeke. Noah Browns or Pickens, got to go Noah Brown over Pickens. Zeke or Henry, I would go Zeke over Henry. No Devontae Parker. I mean, man, this injury report for the Pats is mind-boggling when you think about how little weapons. This team already, going into the season, guys, the Patriots team was completely depleted of talent. I mean, none. And then somehow, all of their most talented players still went on and got injured. Devontae Parker is out tonight. Ramondre Stevenson is out tonight. Demario Douglas is out tonight. Kayshon Boutte is out tonight. We're going to see Tyquan Thornton and Juju Smith-Schuster and Ezekiel Elliott, manning the ship for the Pats tonight. Zeke or Madison? Yeah, I would go Zeke over Madison. It makes me even more confident about the Zeke target share projection too. D-Hop or Deontay? Yeah, I would go D-Hop over Deontay like very, very easily. I do not think that one's close. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Seriously, guys, I appreciate you all so much. I look forward to these lives all week. Guys, I'm getting a little sad. I'm getting emotional, coming to the end of the fantasy season. I'm as locked in as I've ever been heading into the playoffs. So I just know It goes so fast. I can't believe we're already at the fantasy playoffs. We're already in week 14, but we got a couple big Sunday morning lives ahead of us. We got another huge month really ahead of us for fantasy. And then we start it all over again, start the NFL draft research, and we get ready for the next fantasy season. But appreciate all of you guys so much, seriously, for being tuned in. Again, the free player prop of the day was Juju Smith-Schuster over 1.5 reception. Since then, Devontae Parker's been ruled out, so I take it at 2.5 receptions. He's going to be out there 100% of the snaps. Hashtag revenge game for Juju tonight. We're 21-9 on the free player props this season. We have not seen a game with a lower over-under than the game tonight at 30 points since 2004. It has been 20 years. Might be another 20 till we see a game this low. Again, guys, time's the most valuable thing we have. Thanks so much for spending some time with me tonight. I think you can bank on a heavy workload from Zeke tonight. I do like Jaylen Warren more than Najee Harris tonight. The only reason to start Zeke tonight is volume-based. He's going to get 20-plus touches. So, yeah, I think he goes over 40 yards. I think he has a good chance at a touchdown. And I think he's got a good chance at like 5 receptions. He had 4 catches last week, and Mondre played in a part of that game as well. Good luck tonight, everybody. I'll be back live Sunday morning to grind through the start sits and all the analysis we need for Sunday. There is going to be some significant weather to monitor there. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in.